Hi, this is my team members. Firstly is Nurul Diani Ayuni. Second is myself, Nur Alia Faiza. Third is Nur Edina Batrisha. Fourth is Aida Akila. And the last one is Muhammad Nur Azli Rashdan. Hello, hi. What is immune system? Immune system is a complex network of cells, tissue, and organs that work together to defend the body against harmful pathogens such as bacteria. So it recognizes and responds to this foreign invader using various mechanisms to maintain health and protect against disease. Hello, hi. What is immune system? Immune system is a complex network of cells, tissue,
The
and
immune
organs.
system is made up of many types of cells. These cells work together to protect healthy cells from harmful invaders and to help prevent unhealthy cells like cancer cells from growing. When it comes to cancer, one type of immune cells, called T cells, are an important line of defense.
So from the previous slide, we can say that immunity is referred to biological state in which an organism has sufficient defense mechanism to prevent infection, disease, or unwanted biological invasion. The result of complex interaction between the immune system work together to recognize and eliminate foreign agents. There are two types of immunity. Firstly is innate immunity, that is a rapid and non-specific defensive from birth, and adaptive immunity, that is slower and specific response developed over time. So there are three main components of immune system, which is cells, tissues, and organs, that will be explained by my friend later. Let's learn about function of immune cells. There are three. Firstly is recognition. Recognition is when the immune system identifies foreign bodies such as pathogen, bacteria, virus, or fungi and distinguishes them from the body's own cells. This process involves molecular recognition, where receptor protein on immune cell bind to specific molecules or structure unique to pathogen. The second function is response. Once a pathogen is identified, the immune system initiates a response to neutralize and eliminate it. This can involve the production of immune cell and proteins. This response is categorized as either innate immunity or adaptive immunity. This will be explained more detail by my friend later on the other slide. And the last one is memory. So it will retaining information about pathogen to mount quicker and more efficient response during future exposure. So let's move to the consequences of non-functional immune system. The first one is increased susceptibility infection. The body become vulnerable to the infection caused by bacteria, fungi, virus, and parasite because it cannot defend itself effectively. So even a common infection can become threatening to ourselves. The second one is high risk of cancer. Because immune system played a crucial role in identifying and destroying abnormal cells that could develop into cancer. Without this civilian, the risk of cancer become much higher. So the last one is development of autoimmune disorder, which is a malfunctioning immune system that may mistakenly attack the body on healthy tissue, that leading to autoimmune disease such as lupus or type 1 diabetes. You can see it on the video, and the full video you can click on the virus cartoon. So the last one is development of autoimmune disorder.
Lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system mistakenly attacks its healthy tissues and organs. Type 1 diabetes. Usually the idea of people with diabetes would be a person with a relatively poor lifestyle or just obese, but in particular individuals, it is not their lifestyle, but just an unfortunate dance with genetics, where the body's immune system mistakenly attacks and destroys the insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. Behind the scenes, the pancreas usually... Lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system mistakenly...
Hi everyone, my name is Nurul Diani Ayuni binti Khairul Anwar, and I will continue to teach you about the lymphatic organ and tissue. Let's get started. First, the immune system relies on several lymphatic organs such as the red bone marrow, lymph node, thymus gland, and spleen. Each organ has a specific role in defending our body against harmful invaders like bacteria and viruses. Let's explore this one by one. We have the red bone marrow. In children, it's found in most bone because their skeleton is still growing, whereas in adult, it's limited to specific bones such as the skull, sternum, rib, clavicle, pelvic bones, and vertebral columns. The red bone marrow serves two main purposes. First, it produces all types of blood cells, including red blood cells, that function to transport oxygen. Second, it creates lymphocytes, which are immune cells. B lymphocyte matures in the bone marrow, while T lymphocyte move to the thymus to complete their development. Next, let's look at thymus gland. This is where T cell, a type of lymphocyte, complete their maturation. These cells start in the red bone marrow but travel to the thymus to become fully functional. Thymus has three important jobs. First, it helps immature T cell to mature. Second, it produces hormone like thymosin to support this process. Third, it releases only mature and functional T cell into the bloodstream, ensuring that they can effectively fight infection. Think of the thymus as a training camp for the T cell, where only the best graduates move on to defend the body. Now, let's talk about lymph nodes. This small structure acts as a filter for lymphatic fluid, trapping harmful substances like bacteria, viruses, and toxins. Lymph node has several key roles. First, they filter the lymph fluid to remove harmful substances. Second, they contain macrophages, which engulf and destroy these harmful invaders. Third, they produce lymphocytes, which play a vital role in fighting infection. Overall, they contribute to the body's immune defense system. Swollen lymph nodes during an infection are a sign that your immune system is hard at work. Let's move on to the spleen. The organ is like a security checkpoint for your blood. It has two parts. The red pulp filters out pathogen and debris using macrophage. The white pulp is where lymphocytes target and attack harmful invaders like bacteria and even cancer cells. By performing this function, the spleen helps keep your body clean and support overall immunity. Finally, let's discuss lymphocytes, the key player in adaptive immunity. This group includes B cell, T cell, and natural killer cell. B cell produce plasma cell and memory B cell. Plasma cell secrete specific antibodies to natural pathogen. Memory B cell retain information about past infection, ensuring a faster response in the future. T cell regulate the immune response and eliminate infected or abnormal cells. Cytosine T cell kill virus-infected and cancerous cell directly. Helper T cell support the immune system by activating B cell and cytosine T cell. Natural killer cells are unique. They kill virus-infected and tumor cells by direct contact without needing prior exposure. In summary, the immune system is made up of a variety of specialized cells working together, from engulfing pathogen to regulating the immune response and attacking infected cells. Each cell type plays a crucial role in protecting the body.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Muhammad Nurazli Rashdan bin Idris, and today I will be talking about non-specific defenses in the immune system. These defenses, also known as innate immunity, our body first line of protection against pathogen. By the end of this session, you'll have a clear understanding of how these defenses work and why they are so important. Okay, let's begin with an overview. Non-specific defenses are the innate immunity we're born with. They provide a broad spectrum, immediate response to pathogens. Unlike adaptive immunity, these defenses do not target specific invaders. They work against a wide range of threats. Non-specific defenses include 4 key components, which is number 1 is barrier defenses, number 2 is cellular defenses, number 3 is antimicrobial peptides or proteins, and the last one is inflammatory response. Alright, the first component of non-specific defenses is barrier defenses. This physical and chemical barrier prevent pathogens from entering our body. The first one is the skin act as tough physical shield that block microbes. And our mucous membranes, found in areas like the respiratory and digestive tracts, trap pathogens. The mucus helps remove them from the body. Certain body fluids like tears and saliva contains lysozymes, enzymes that destroy bacteria cell walls. Lastly, the low pH of the skin and stomach creates an environment hostile to most bacteria. And I have a question to you guys. Can anyone think of other example of barrier defenses? I will let the question answered by your own and think. Next, once pathogen bypass the barriers, the body's cellular defenses kick in. These defenses involve specialized immune cells that directly attack invaders. Phagocytotic cells engulf and destroy pathogens. Key player includes neutrophils, macrophages, dendritic cells, and eosinophils. Alright, neutrophils is the first responders that quickly attack invading microbes. Macrophages usually found throughout the body. They engulf larger pathogens and debris. Dendritic cells, which is act as messenger, linking innate and adaptive immunity by presenting pathogens fragment to the T cell. And the last one, eosinophils, specialize in targeting multicellular parasites like worms by releasing destructive enzymes. We also have natural killer cells, which these cells don't attack pathogens directly. Instead, they target infected or abnormal host cells like virus-infected or cancerous cells, triggering cell death. So the analogy that I can give to you guys to how to understand these cellular defenses is, think of these immune cells as soldiers in the body's army. Neutrophils and macrophages are like front-line infantry. Dendritic cells are the intelligence officers. Eosinophils are demolition experts, and natural killer cells are undercover agents which eliminating compromised cells within our ranks. Cellular defenses also rely on specialized receptors called toll-like receptors, or TLRs. These receptors recognize common features of pathogens and trigger specific immune responses. For example, TLR3 detects double-stranded RNA found in viruses, TLR4 identifies bacterial lipopolysaccharides, and TLR5 binds to flagellin, a key protein in bacterial flagella. This receptor act like sensor, identifying invaders and sending signal to initiate a defense tailored to the type. Next, we have antimicrobial peptides and protein. These molecules directly attack pathogens or prevent their reproduction. Interference interfere with viral replication and active macrophage. The complement system consists of about 30 proteins that work together to destroy pathogens. They can form pores in the membrane invaders, causing them to burst. Think of these peptides and proteins as a biochemical arsenal targeting pathogens. The final component is the inflammatory response, which occurs when tissues are injured or infected. Injured cells release signals that attract immune cells to the site. For example, mast cells release histamine, which dilates body vessels and increase their permeability. This allows immune cells like macrophages and neutrophils to reach the affected area and attack pathogens. The process often produces pus, which contains dead pathogens, immune cells, and tissue debris. Inflammation can be local, like when you get a splinter, or systemic, such as fever triggered by toxins or pyro.
Hello and hi. So let's continue. Okay, what is specific defenses? Specific defenses, known as adaptive immunity. This specialized defense mechanism in vertebrata develop after exposure to a foreign substance. So its recognition relies on vast arsenal of receptor. So what is vast arsenal of receptor? It is a sheer number of protein molecule on the surface of immune cell that specifically recognize and binding at a specific antigen. So because of that, it have ability to recognize and remember specific pathogen. So there is two main type of adaptive immunity. First is humoral responses, which is involve the production of antibody of B lymphocyte. And second is cell-mediated response, which is involve the activation of T lymphocyte. Okay, humoral response. Humoral response involve B cell. B cell mature in a bone marrow. B cell have B cell receptor known as BCRs. BCRs can recognize and bind to a specific antigen. When an antigen meet B cell with a matching BCR, so they can bind together. This will trigger B cell to activate and undergo division, become memory B cell and plasma. So plasma then will secrete antibody that can bind to pathogen or circulate freely in a body. Next is cell-mediated response. Cell-mediated response involves T cell. T cell matured in thymus gland. T cell have receptors called T cell receptor TCR on their surface. Unlike BCR, TCR cannot directly bind to free antigens. Instead, they recognize antigens that are presented by other cells called antigen presenting cell APC. APC such as macrophage engulf pathogens and break down into smaller fragments, and these fragments will present on their surface bound to molecules called major histocompatibility complex MHC. When a T cell encounters an APC with a matching MHC complex, it binds to it and becomes activated. The activated T cell differentiate into several types. First, helper T cell that release cytokinase that help activate other immune cell, including B cell and cytotoxic T cell. Cytotoxic T cell directly kill infected cell. Okay, what's differentiate adaptive and innate immunity is the presence of immunological memory. Immunological memory is a long-term protection that caused by prior infections or vaccination. There are two stages in immunological memory. First stage is primary immune response. Primary immune response happens within 10 to 70 days. During this period, B and T cell will give rise to their effector forms. Second stage is secondary immune response. Secondary immune response happens within 2 to 7 days. During this period, memory cell facilitated faster. When we look at the graph above, we can see for the first exposure to pathogens, body takes long time to increase antibody concentration in blood. But for the second exposure, because of memory cell, body take only short time to increase antibody concentration in blood.
Immune system have two types, active and passive immunity. Immunity is the body's ability to resist harmful microorganisms or toxins. For your information, our discussion so far was focused on active immunity, but let's go through what exactly is active and passive immunity is. Active immunity is when the body produces its own antibody and immune cells. So we have two types of active immunity. The first one is natural active immunity, which after recovering from an infection, and the second one is artificial active immunity, which is through vaccines. But natural active immunity have two types of response. The first one is primary response, is when the first exposure to the pathogen, and it is a very slow response. And the second response is secondary response, is faster and stronger due to the memory B and T cells. Natural active immunity develops when your body encounters pathogen like a virus or bacteria for the first time. Your immune system detects it, fight it off, and then remember it for the future. So let's take a look at the primary immune response. When your body meets a pathogen for the first time, it's like dealing with an unfamiliar enemy for the first time. So your immune system doesn't know what it acts against, so it takes time to react. The first thing that happens is that your immune cells, specifically macrophage, spot the pathogen. So think of them as a security guard for your body. They engulf the invader and then display the antigen to the other immune cells. This action activates two types of cells, which is B cell and T cells. B cell are going to produce antibody to target the pathogen, and T cell are going to destroy the infected cells and help coordinate the immune response. So let's take a look for the graph for the better understanding. We can see that the blue lines indicate the primary immune response. On day 0, the body is exposed to the antigen A for the first time. So at this point, the immune system is unfamiliar with the antigen, so it takes time to react. This delay happens because the immune system needs to activate B cells and T cells, and those B cells must produce antibodies. So as you can see, the blue line rises slowly, antibody level peaks after the several days and then gradually drop. This response is slower because the body is learning to fight the antigen for the first time. So this is why you might feel sick for several days or even weeks. Let's take a look at the secondary immune response. In the primary response, while your body is busy fighting the pathogen, it also preparing for the future. Because some of the B cells that were activated at that time become memory cell. Memory cell function is to recognize and eliminate that same pathogen if it ever shows up again in the future. So for example, a few months later, you encounter the same flu virus. This time, your body recognizes it instantly because those memory cells are ready and waiting. So the secondary immune response is the immune system act much faster because it produces a flood of antibodies and activating T cells almost immediately. This quick response often means that you won't feel sick at all, or if you do, the symptom will be mild and then short-lived. Now, as you can see in the graph on day 35, the body is exposed to antigen A again, but this time, things are different. Memory cells from the first exposure remember antigen A. They react quickly, producing antibodies at much faster rate. The response is not only faster, but also much stronger compared to before. I'm going to give an example for you to relate. Think about chickenpox. Most people only get it once. Why? Because the first time you are exposed, your immune system learns how to fight it. But after that, your memory cells keep the instruction for fighting the chickenpox, so you are protected for life. Artificial active immunity is like teaching your immune system how to fight a specific enemy without ever having to face the full danger of that enemy. How do we do this? Through vaccination. So when you receive a vaccine, your body is exposed to the harmless version of a pathogen. So this could be a dead or a weakened form of the microbe, or parts of the microbe like proteins or sugars, or even a synthetic substance that mimics the pathogen. So the key is that this version of the pathogen cannot cause disease but still activates your immune system. It means that through vaccination, we introduce the pathogen to our body.
So after the immune system get activated, the primary immune response will occur to the unfamiliar pathogen in your body. So after B and T cells are produced and then become a memory cells, your immune system is then prepared. If you encounter the real problem, the real pathogen in the future, your memory cell will jump into action immediately and then producing antibodies fighting off the infection before it make you sick. The definition of passive immunity is receiving antibodies or immune cells from another source. There are two types of passive immunity. The first one is natural passive immunity, which is from mother to baby via placenta or through breast milk. And the second one is artificial passive immunity, which is from gamma globulin injection or through antivenin. Let's talk about natural passive immunity. This type of immunity we get from someone else's immune system and it happened naturally. So one example is during pregnancy, when antibodies, specifically a type called IgG, cross the placenta from the mother to the fetus. So this transfer happened because the baby's immune system is not developed enough to fight the infection yet. So the mother's antibody provide protection against the disease for a short time after the birth. Another example is through breastfeeding. Breast milk contains a different antibody called IgA. This helps protect the baby's digestive system and overall health from infection while they are still building their own immunity. But since this antibody come from someone else, they do not last long. This baby's immune system won't remember the infection the antibody fought, so this protection is only temporary. The last one is artificial passive immunity. This is when antibodies are given to someone artificially, meaning that they didn't come naturally from a mother, but were specifically prepared to help in emergency. For example, imagine someone get bitten by a venomous snake. Their body doesn't have enough time to produce its own antibody before the venom starts causing damage. So in this situation, they are given an antivenin. Antivenin contains antibodies that were taken from the animals, like sheep or horses, that were already exposed to the venom and build immunity. So these antibodies immediately neutralize the venom and buying time for the person to recover. Another case is gamma globulin injection. This is used when someone is exposed to a dangerous disease like rabies or hepatitis and needs immediate protection because they don't have time to develop their own immune response. But just like natural passive immunity, artificial passive immunity also doesn't last long. Since the person's immune system did not produce this antibody, so there are no memory cells are formed. So it's like a quick and temporary...
Antibodies that are entering the body from outside provide something called passive immunity. This passive immunity is only temporary because it's only providing antibodies that won't last forever. Let's look at a few comparisons. Memory cells are produced in active immunity, but not in passive immunity. And antibodies come from inside of the body, produced by the body's own white blood cells in active immunity. But with passive immunity, they come from outside. It might result from invasion of a pathogen or vaccination to provide active immunity, and we'll discuss vaccinations in just a moment. But passive immunity will result from injections. For example, rabies can be treated by an injection of antibodies, and also, for example, breast milk provides antibodies to a baby.
To conclude, the immune system defends the body from harmful pathogen through fast innate immunity and long-term adaptive immunity memory. Key components like immune cell, the lymphatic system, and antibody work together to fight infection and maintain balance. Vaccines strengthen immunity by preparing the body for specific disease. When the immune system fails, it can cause infection, autoimmune disease, and other health problems, making it essential for survival and overall health.